The following podcast contains bizarre theories, strange facts, and some out-of-this-world opinions. Listener discretion is advised, especially if you trust the government.
Conspiracy. Conspiracy.
So you're settled into your flight, and the in-flight drinks carts just made it to your row. Everything's great. You're flying into Denver, the sun's shining, the mountains look like a postcard. You land, you grab your bags, you step into the terminal, and there it is. A 32-foot tall, glowing-eyed demon horse staring at you like it knows your internet search history. You walk past murals of gas mask-wearing children, cities in flames, and people gathered around a plant like it's the last thing left alive on Earth. Then you notice the capstone for the airport, the literal welcome plaque, has a Masonic symbol on it, and says it was funded by something called the New World Airport Commission, which doesn't exist. Oh, and beneath your feet, miles of underground tunnels the airport refuses to explain. This is the Denver International Airport, where your flight is delayed because the Illuminati is having a board meeting under Gate B. Welcome to the new segment of Conspiracy, Mini Files. Hello you guys, and welcome back to Conspiracy, the podcast where I dive headfirst into the weird, the wild, and the wait, that's actually kind of believable world of conspiracies. Now, as you might have noticed by the episode title, today's a little bit special because I'm launching a brand new segment that I'm going to drop once a month, and I'm calling it Conspiracy Mini Files. So what is Mini Files? Well, it's basically the same as a normal conspiracy episode, the ridiculous research, mad theories, and me trying to convince you that the world's a lot weirder than you think, but these are bite-sized, short enough to fit into a lunch break, but long enough to make you suspicious of the salad you're eating. And for our very first mini-file, we are talking about an airport that might just be the most cursed travel hub in the world. And no, I'm not talking about the baggage claim at Luton Airport. I'm talking about Denver International Airport, a place so strange, so full of bizarre art, secret tunnels, and Illuminati symbolism, it's basically a Bond villain's Airbnb. Now, disclaimer, this is a comedy podcast, which means, yes, I will be poking fun at things, and yes, I fully reserve the right to spiral into dark humour. If you're new here, buckle up. If you're not, well, you already know I'm about to accuse an airport of being run by lizard people. Let's dive in. So let's rewind to the early 90s. America's got grunge music, mullets, and Bill Clinton is still pretending he doesn't know what a cigar is. Out in Colorado, Denver already has an airport, Stapleton International, and it's fine, works perfectly. But in 1995, the city unveils a brand new airport on a massive plot of land, and when I say massive, I mean bigger than Manhattan. 6 runways, over 50 square miles of space, and it's plonked out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, surrounded by miles of open planes. So this thing cost nearly $5 billion to build, which was about $2 billion over budget, and it opened 16 months late, but, you know, in government project terms, that's basically right on time. But for the conspiracy world, well, that's a red flag the size of the actual runways. Because here's the thing, right? Stapleton, the old airport, was still perfectly functional. So why build this giant new one so far out of town at insane costs with way more space than an airport could ever need? Well, the official story is it's future-proofing. You know, more runways, more capacity, more room for expansion. But the unofficial story, the one I'm more interested in, and probably you are, is that all that extra land, it's not for planes, it's for something underneath. And this isn't just a few luggage tunnels underneath, we're talking miles and miles of subterranean construction that workers at the time said were built wrong and then mysteriously buried. Others claimed entire facilities were finished down there, complete with infrastructure, before being sealed off. Which, by the way, if I'm ever rich enough to have a house built, I'm doing that for sure. Just randomly construct a fake underground layer and seal it up. So one day some future property developer gets a call from the Ghostbusters. Now, Denver International Airport isn't just big, it's weird. That's why we're covering it. The roof is this giant white tent-like structure, which they say is inspired by the Rocky Mountains or Native American teepees, but to me, it kind of looks like a crime scene tent for the world's largest body. And then there's the location. Geographically speaking, it's perfect for a doomsday bunker, remote but accessible, far from coastal flooding, and with the Rocky Mountains as a natural shield. You could absolutely put a New World Order headquarters here and no one would notice. Well, except every conspiracy theorist with a blog or a podcast. So that's just a quick summary of what the Denver airport is, where it's kind of located, but let's take a look at some of the things that make this place fucking weird. So picture this, you've just landed after a long haul flight, you're jet lagged, dehydrated, you've been sitting next to a man who's been peeling hard-boiled eggs for 9 hours, you're shuffling towards baggage claim, dreaming of a shower, and then bam! You're confronted with massive wall-sized murals that look like something Banksy would have painted if it'd been commissioned by Satan. These murals were painted by artist Leo Tanguma and are supposedly about world peace and environmental harmony. And sure, I mean, if you squint your eyes and, tilt your head left and ignore 70% of the imagery, you probably could say that. But most people see something pretty different. The most infamous mural is called Children of the World Dream of Peace. Sounds nice, right? Until you notice there's a Nazi-looking soldier in a gas mask, wielding a sword, with cities burning in the background. In one part of the mural, the soldier is stabbing a dove, which in basically every culture ever is the symbol of peace. So yeah, off to a strong start. Then there's the follow-up panel where happy children from around the world hand over their weapons to a kid in lederhosen, which is a bold move because the last time Europe handed over anything to a guy in that outfit didn't go great. Another mural, in peace and harmony with nature, depicts forests burning, animals in glass cases, and dead children in coffins. In an airport, a place where people are meant to be feeling safe and optimistic about travelling. Well, officially, the artist says these murals are a commentary on humanity's destruction of the planet and a hopeful vision for peace. But what we see is a playbook, a visual warning of a planned apocalypse, followed by the establishment of a one-world government. And here's the kicker. When asked about the murals, the airport has literally leaned into the conspiracy. They now have signs and exhibits poking fun at the theories, which could be seen as clever PR, or as I see it, a bit of reverse psychology. Make it look like a joke so no one takes it serious. It's basically the same logic as saying, oh yeah, I'd love to move to a cabin in the woods with 400 tins of beans and a water filtration system. Say it like you're kidding, so no one calls you a prepper. But let me know in the comments, have you been to Denver Airport? Have you seen the murals? What do you think about them? Obviously, there's pictures online that you can Google and see these kind of murals and what this artist has made. But I'd love to hear what you guys have seen, especially if you've seen it in person. Next up, you can't talk about Denver Airport without mentioning its most infamous greeter. Officially, the sculpture is called Mustang, a 32-foot tall blue horse with glowing red eyes. Unofficially, the locals call it Blucifer, because it looks like the devil's ride into battle. This thing towers over the road leading into the airport, so the very first thing you see when you arrive in Denver is a glowing-eyed demon horse, which, subtle, not. It's made of fiberglass, it's this intense electric blue colour, and its eyes literally light up at night, like it's about to drag you into the underworld. And here's where it gets a little bit creepy, because it actually killed its creator. Yeah, the artist Luis Jimenez was working on the sculpture in 2006 when a section of it fell and severed an artery in his leg. He bled out in his studio, And instead of saying, yeah, maybe let's not install the demon horse that murdered its maker, the airport went, nah, put it up. Travellers will love it. So the theory goes that Blucifer is more than just weird airport art. Some say it represents the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, specifically death. Also, many believe it's a nod to Masonic or New World Order symbolism. And if you are wondering why it has glowing red eyes, apparently they're a tribute to Jimenez's father's neon shop. But, you know, that's what they say. And also, the placement is interesting because it's not just like a gallery inside, it's right out front. So everyone arriving gets a good look at this death horse before they even check in. Which honestly, if you were trying to create an ominous vibe, it is a genius move. I guess it's like if the front entrance of IKEA had a life-size statue of a couple mid-divorce fighting over a Billy bookcase. Kind of sets the tone for what's inside, you know? Well, if the murals and Blucifer weren't enough to make you a little bit uneasy, here's where Denver Airport goes full end of the world movie. So underneath this already unnecessarily massive airport lies an even bigger mystery. A network of tunnels and underground spaces that most people will never see. Now officially the airport admits there are tunnels. They were originally built to house an automated baggage system, a $250 million project that failed so badly it became a punchline in the airline industry. The system never worked properly and was eventually abandoned. But here's the thing. Contractors and workers who helped build the place claim there's way more down there than just busted conveyor belts. Several whistleblowers have said entire multi-level facilities were constructed and then sealed off. Others describe huge underground rooms with plumbing, power and ventilation, the kind of infrastructure you'd need for, I don't know, housing thousands of people during a nuclear apocalypse. And here's the weirdest part actually, because instead of demolishing or repurposing these alleged spaces, they were simply buried. Which makes zero sense from a construction standpoint, unless you don't want anyone to know they exist. The theory goes that these tunnels connect to a vast underground bunker, one designed to house political elites, global leaders, and the ultra-wealthy in the event of catastrophe. Some even claim it's a hub for the New World Order's headquarters, with secret rail lines linking it to other ground bases across the US. So basically, if the world ends, you won't find me scrambling for canned beans and a tent. I'll be out front of Denver Airport with a "We'll tell jokes for entry" sign. Now, the location supports this theory actually, because if you remember how I said the airport is far from the city and surrounded by empty land, well, that makes it perfect for secrecy. You can dig for miles without anyone noticing, and it's close enough to the Rockies to use the mountains as a natural shield against blasts or surveillance. I don't know if you've seen the TV show Paradise recently, but fantastic TV show. I've talked about it in previous episodes, so I won't bark on again. But unbelievable, and it's essentially this in TV format. And you know they don't put anything in TV shows or films if there's not some truth behind it. It's all conditioning. So yeah, go check out Paradise. Great show. Can't wait for season 2. Don't know where they're going to take it, but very much looking forward to it. But if you are thinking about this Denver theory as kind of like, maybe it just is a TV show, nothing's real, oh, surely someone would have leaked proof if it was real, that kind of thing. If you are thinking that, well, let's not forget how whistleblowers tend to mysteriously stop talking. People who have come forward about DIA's tunnels have often changed their stories or moved away. Totally normal, guys. Totally normal. So before I'm made to move away or change my story, let's have a look at another very weird thing about the airport. So when you arrive into the main terminal, you survive Blucifer's death stare, dodged the Nazi peace murals, and somehow avoided the underground Illuminati tour, you notice something on the floor. A granite capstone. Basically, a time capsule marker with the symbol of the Freemasons carved right onto it. Yeah, the Freemasons. The actual Freemasons, guys. You know, the centuries old secret society tied to everything from founding of America to controlling world governments, depending on how many YouTube rabbit holes you've gone down anyway. But the capstone is dated March 19th, 1994, 1 year before the airport officially opened. And it says it's from the New World Airport Commission, which sounds important, right? Except there's just one teeny detail. There is no such organisation. Airport officials claim it was just a name dreamed up by local civic leaders for the opening ceremonies, but the theory goes it's code, a public nod to the New World Order, the alleged shadow government pulling the strings behind the scenes. The capstone also reportedly contains a time capsule set to be opened in 2094, which is 100 years after it was placed. Now, they say it contains messages and memorabilia to the people of Colorado. But if you've been following along with this episode, you already know what we're all thinking. It's a set of instructions for whoever survives the Great Reset. And here's a fun little twist. The names engraved on the stone include known Masons and high-ranking Colorado officials. This is the same group that's supposedly responsible for picking the airport's location and overseeing parts of the construction. Which makes sense, because if I was building a secret underground lair for the elite, I'd definitely want the world's most well-connected secret society in on it. And you know what? This is why you'll never see me at a Freemason meeting. Not because I don't believe the hype, but because I don't own a good enough suit. And when you actually think about that time capsule, 2094 is suspiciously far away, right? If it was just fun memorabilia, why make the people who contributed to it wait a whole century? By then, anyone alive in 1994 will likely be gone, which means nobody will be able to be there that could say, wait a minute, that's not what we put in there. At this point, you'd think we'd covered the weirdest parts of the Denver airport conspiracy, but no, we're just about to slide into full David Icke territory. So another theory goes that Denver Airport is not just a hub for the New World Order's human members, it's also a base for the reptilian shapeshifters. Yep, the infamous lizard people. These creatures, according to believers, are ancient, highly intelligent beings who've secretly ruled Earth for thousands of years. They disguise themselves as humans to blend in, often taking the form of political leaders, celebrities, and billionaires. And when we ask the question, why Denver Airport? Well, simple. The massive underground facilities make it the perfect place to live, operate, and plan global domination without ever having to see daylight. And if you think that sounds far-fetched, well, here's a fun fact. Denver Airport has one of the highest concentrations of sightings of strange, tall, scaly, humanoid figures in the whole of the United States. Reports range from staff allegedly seeing tall beings with glowing eyes in the tunnels, to late-night cleaners swearing they've caught glimpses of elongated shadows moving along the terminal walls when no one else was around. Creepy shit. And then there's the Illuminati hybrid theories, which claims that the lizard people are working hand in hand with the human elite to bring about the Great Reset. The murals, Blucifer, the capstone, the tunnels, all part of the same giant plan to turn the Earth into one big, obedient reptile farm. Honestly, I can't decide if I'd rather the world be run by shape-shifting lizards or Elon Musk. At least the lizards wouldn't post memes or argue with Trump at 3 a.m. Now, some even tie this back to alien involvement, suggesting the reptilians aren't from Earth at all, but from another star system. And Denver, sitting high in the Rockies with its thin air and strategic location, is the perfect landing base. Now, even if you don't believe in the lizard theory, you got to admit, if you do any research, the airport loves this stuff. They've run ads and installed temporary signs joking about reptilian lairs and Illuminati bunkers, which, again, could be great, funny, cheeky marketing, or a massive flex hiding in plain sight. So let's put all those pieces together like a jigsaw, right? First, you've got a location deliberately far away from Denver's downtown, in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by flat land, perfect for secret construction. Second, you've got this overbuilt facility with an airport far larger than the city's current needs, which is a key point. Why build something so excessive unless you're planning for more people or perhaps a different crowd entirely? Thirdly, you've got the tunnels and alleged bunkers, right? We're talking miles of underground infrastructure with plumbing, power, and ventilation, all sealed off and apparently abandoned. And yet the airport's budget still allows for constant underground maintenance, which is odd because I don't recall anyone needing to service broken baggage conveyors for 30 years. Then there's the art and architecture. You got the murals, the apocalyptic horse, the cryptic Freemason's capstone. These surely aren't random. This is symbolic programming, planting ideas in the public consciousness, preparing us for an inevitable reset. And finally, you got the altitude and location. At 5,430 feet above sea level, Denver is high enough to be protected from many natural disasters and well inland away from tsunami threats. The Rockies provide both a natural fortress and potential access to deep mountain bunkers that could stretch for hundreds of miles. In other words, if you wanted to create a hidden, self-sustained, securing facility for the global elite to ride out an apocalypse, this is exactly where and how you'd build it. I mean, if the world ends and you find me missing, just know I've been invited, okay? And I'll be broadcasting from the underground bar, sipping cocktails with the lizard people and Blucifer in the corner playing pool. And some even argue that Denver Airport is already in use as a meeting place for world leaders when extreme secrecy is required. If you've ever noticed odd, unexplained VIP flights here with no public events in Denver, this theory might just make your ears perk up. And the fact that the airport leans into the rumours with tongue-in-cheek marketing, that might not be harmless fun. It might be the perfect way to normalise the conspiracy. So when the truth comes out, people laugh it off instead of panicking. So where does that leave us? Is Denver International Airport just an oddly decorated, over-budget public works project? Or is it one of the most blatant Bond villain layers in modern history? On one side, you got the officials. They say the horse is just art, the mural's about world peace, the tunnels are for baggage, the capstone's just a time capsule, and the lizard people jokes are exactly that, jokes. On the other side, you got a laundry list of coincidences, so long you could wallpaper an underground bunker with it. The size, the cost overruns, the location, the weird art, the Freemason links, the tunnels, the reptile sightings, all of that under one roof, or a few hundred feet below it. And here's the thing, whether you believe all of it or just one of the rumors, Denver Airport has cemented itself as a conspiracy legend, right? It's like the Area 51 of airports at this point. People don't just fly through there. They come there to stand in front of Blucifer, take a photo with the murals, and whisper to each other, "You know what's really going on, right?" And then they whisper it to me, and I whisper it to you, and before you know it, we've all got matching Illuminati tattoos and a group chat called Lizard Lounge. For me, I do like to think outside the box, so I do like to imagine that things are happening. And yeah, I'd say there's something there. There's too many weird details, too many unanswered questions, too much symbolism, let's say. Maybe it's not all true, but even if it's just kind of 10% of it's true, that's still pretty wild, no? But yeah, if you live close to Denver or you're about to spend some time going to Colorado and you have to fly through the Denver airport and you get to walk past the glowing-eyed horse, just remember, somewhere deep below your feet, someone might be making plans for a future the rest of us don't get to see. And that's where we'll leave it for this week's mini files. Remember, these short episodes drop once a month alongside our big deep dive conspiracies. So make sure you're following Conspiracy on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your strange and suspicious audio. Next week, we're back to a full-length Chaos Fest. As always, if you've got your own theories or stories, drop me a DM or message me on socials. Get involved in the comments on Spotify or YouTube. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram, just at Conspiracy, or email me, conspiracy@gmail.com. So go ahead, drop the first comment and get the conversation started. And guys, feel free to leave me a review if you enjoyed today's episode.
Conspiracy. Conspiracy.
This has been Conspiracy. I've been Ash, and I'll see you next week for another deep dive into the freaky, funny, and freakishly believable world of conspiracies. And remember, the truth is out there.